This video is brought to you by the Baby Yoda plush that I got from Target. Baby Yoda aside, this is MandRproductions episode 128. If you guys have a question you want answered next week, you can leave it in the comments section below. And while you're down there, why not leave a like? Anyway, we have a ton of interesting questions as usual this week. Our first question comes from Zero. He says, "Hey Ryan, when you were first starting your YouTube channel, did you have lots of subscribers?" I think this is going to come as a shock to you, but I started my YouTube channel with 0 subscribers. Yes, I think we all kind of start on the same level playing field in that regard. And, I've been doing YouTube for 11 years, so obviously not 0 anymore, which is pretty great, just past 250,000. And it's kind of weird to me because I think I've started to realize that 1 million isn't impossible, which is pretty freaking cool. But yeah, I started with 0 just like everyone else. Pete says, "I want to sell my Rebels Ahsoka Tano. I know that the Clone Wars Ahsoka is coming out with the new AAT in the summer, so when should I sell my Ahsoka?" You should sell it yesterday. It should have already been sold. You've missed the peak, okay? The pictures have come out, and we know for a fact that Ahsoka is in the AAT. People have seen that, and now a lot of people are like, oh, well, why would I buy this one on eBay when I can just get it in this set for $40? Because the one on eBay was going for like $130, $140, $150. Very, very expensive versus the one that's going to be in a set is $40 plus you get the whole set. And so because of that, the demand for the Ahsoka that you want to sell is going to be driven down. It's already started to decline. So your best bet is to sell it as soon as possible if you do want to sell it and get the most money for it. So sell it now if you're going to sell it, because if you wait any longer, especially after that set releases on August 1st, you're not going to be getting anywhere near as much as you could have. RM All-Star says, "Why does everyone put Ask MansR in their question if you're commenting on the video? Is it implied that it's an Ask MansR question?" Yes, it is. I brought this up like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and of course, as soon as I bring it up, everyone just starts doing it more. And then just to like not spread the misinformation that people like to spread, someone commented below this saying that it helps me see the questions or that it helps me filter them. It doesn't help me do any of that. I just read the questions, all of them, all the comments. I just go down and read them. It's pretty straightforward. There's nothing to it. I'm just reading through non-discriminately. Matthew says, "What do you think about David Hall saying that the new box art for summer 2020 sets guarantees a complete Clone Wars wave sometime in the near future?" I commented on David's video. Word for word, this is what I said. "The box having a 332nd trooper on it bears no significance to future waves. There have been, every year for the last 13 or so years, and will continue to be Clone Wars sets on a regular basis. There will not be an entire wave of such sets. The precedent of the Vader changing was set months ago on the Razor Crest box art, which shows the Mandalorian in lieu of Vader. With your logic, we are getting an entire, or at least 1/2, wave of Mando sets, which both certainly cannot be true. Mixed waves have become the norm. It's not 2008 anymore, unfortunately." I think what David said was really dumb. I'm going to be straight up. Like, having that on the box art, like I said, bears no significance to what a future wave could or could not be. It's not impossible. Like, I can't sit here and say that the next wave won't be 12 Clone Wars sets, because I just don't know that. But I would say it's very misleading for him to say something like,
I was really shocked by this. They changed the Darth Vader from the top right of the box art to a 332nd trooper, or the Ahsoka clone trooper from season 7 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, signifying, and this is the point I kind of want to drive home, is that this is signifying we are getting a whole new Clone Wars wave, not just for the summer wave that we're getting here in a few months in August, but for the winter wave or the 2021 early sets, the January sets. I am saying right now that it is likely that maybe the entire wave, if not half of it at least, will have this Clone Wars box art and will be Clone Wars related sets.
And as soon as I heard him say this, I knew I was getting this comment. And I'm going to continue to get this comment because he said something that's just not true. I don't know what he was thinking, because the box art no longer necessarily represents what the sets are going to be, unfortunately. Now, what we're seeing with these box arts, though, is that they have this design that they came up with for 2019. It had the Darth Vader, and they were just using that with the Darth Vader for everything as kind of a catch-all. I think what we're going to be seeing going forward for the next few years, probably, I'm not sure, is that they'll kind of change the character on the top of the box depending on what era the set is for, which is great. But just because they've changed the character on the top of the box doesn't mean we're getting like 10 sets from that thing, because the same would also be true of The Mandalorian by that line of thinking, and that's just not going to happen because there's just not that much content for The Mandalorian, so that's just unrealistic. Frank Rock says, do you think a Jabba's Palace remake is impossible because of the Moss controversy in 2012? No, but it seems like it could have some bearing on whether LEGO would want to do it or not. I would hope that they would be willing to do it again. I think that the controversy may be a thing of the past, but I could see LEGO potentially shying away from it because of the controversy. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I want to do a like history video on that, like I did with the UCS Hoth set, where I kind of go through what that whole thing was. So I'd probably rope in the Alex Jones talking about how the Rancor pit is racist or something, because that makes sense in that context. Obi-Wan says, should I trust eBay listings that select minifigs randomly from large lots of minifigs? It seems like a pretty easy way to scam people and give them undervalued figures for what the customer is paying for. Your thoughts? I was going to do a video on this before I quit buying LEGO for the next 2 months, but I think in August or September, later this year, I'll do a video like this, and what I was going to call it was, I bought random LEGO Star Wars minifigs so you don't have to. And basically I was going to find out if not, it was worth the money to throw like $10 at 2 random figures or whatever. Like, and I would do it, I'd spend like $200 on it though and buy from many different sellers and really do a full case study style video on that. And ultimately, what I will say to you is, as of now, my opinion on those things, it's kind of like a collectible minifigure, except it's not, right? Like, you're getting something that you know already exists, right? It's not something new that LEGO's made just for this specific thing. And on top of that, your odds are not guaranteed. You're at the whim of this seller who may or may not attempt to screw you over in one way or another. I'm sure they're not all out to get you. I'm sure a lot of them have the picture of all the figures that they are going to put in these random bags and then put them in random bags and then ship out those random bags randomly. But there's also the off chance that you could have the bad apple, that's a pretty hot button term right now, that would just screw you over and send you a bunch of battle droids. Like, that can happen, and there's no way to know or how to stop that. Like, you're just putting yourself at risk by buying those. Ultimately, if you want a specific minifigure, buy the specific minifigure. Don't look at a lot of figures and be like, oh, I could maybe get this for $5 when it's worth $50. No, I mean, you could, I guess, but like ultimately if you do that, it's like gambling. You're going to spend more money than you would have otherwise trying to get it and probably come up empty-handed. Unless you're into the gambling aspect, unless you're like addicted to it, you just want something random, you don't want something specific, go for it. But if you're looking for something specific, I think it would be very unwise to try and get it through random packs. Reese says, would you want more Galaxy's Edge sets? Yeah, I actually do want one thing from Galaxy's Edge, maybe 2. There's the Resistance A-Wing, which is kind of all redded out, and I kind of like that. Kind of nice compared to the other A-Wings, not too far off from the normal Rebel A-Wing, but still a slightly different color scheme. But the set I want the most is the TIE Fighter that's kind of in the back of the park. It would come with like Kylo Ren, a couple First Order Stormtroopers, and then another like officer guy that I see kind of standing there. So that TIE Fighter is pretty sweet. It's kind of like a Kylo Ren's shuttle mixed with a TIE Fighter looking thing to me. Not exactly sure what the exact name is, but yeah, that would be the other one that I could see them making, and I'm kind of surprised that that wasn't the one they made. Then again, they make a lot of TIE vehicles, so I can see why they would shy away from that. But if they were to make another Star Wars Galaxy's Edge set, that would be the one I'd like to see. Building Hope says, will you collab to make the largest LEGO Star Wars army with Solid Brick Studios? And that one got 23 upvotes, so I'm answering it. No, I don't see why we would do that. Bruce Swift has that thoroughly covered. I will make my own army video. Plus, the logistics of that just don't make sense. He lives in Virginia, I live in Florida. I mean, I'm not bringing all my stuff there. He's not bringing all his stuff here, so no. Dr. Duck says, are you saving a particular Star Wars set for the last one you need? And for people that don't get the question he's asking, essentially, will I put off buying a LEGO Star Wars set like in the scheme of getting every LEGO Star Wars set so that a special one can be the last one I get? And my answer to that is no, because I'm basically looking for the best deal on sets that I can get most of the time. So if I see a good deal on a set pop up, I'm not going to pass on it just to make it my last one, right? So like, let's say it's a set that normally goes for $1,000. If I see it for $300, I'm buying it for 300. That would be asinine not to, right? Just to put it off so it can be this arbitrary final thing. Now, the thing that I've actually thought of doing kind of like this is building a set as the last set I build, and that would be the original 2007 UCS Falcon was kind of the one I had in mind as being like the final set I would build, like, you know, the final piece to the puzzle type of thing. You know, that's years off probably, but that's just kind of the one thing that's crossed my mind in that same vein. Brick Duo says, do you think LEGO purposely holds off on the release of wanted Star Wars minifigs in sets to build hype and cash out big, or more so that they don't understand the community's desires? I mean, there's obviously a trend where LEGO will put desirable minifigures in big sets, and on the flip side of that, having minifigures in big sets can make them desirable, right? So it goes both ways, right? It's not something that's necessarily intentional all of the time, but they definitely will put minifigures that people want in a set that costs more money because they're a business and it just makes sense. To me, part of having a rare minifigure is the fact that it's rare. I don't want every figure to be readily accessible and cheap and $3 each, right? Because then it takes the fun out of it. If you could afford it, would it be as cool? That's the question I pose to you, because there's a lot of things when I was younger, it's like, I couldn't afford the UCS Cloud City, the original Cloud City, Gold C-3PO and such. And it's like part of what makes those things interesting and coveted and cool, for lack of a better term, is their rarity, is their price. Does LEGO hold off on the release of figures like that? No, they just put them kind of in the sets they want when they want. I don't think they specifically like say, oh, we're gonna release an Ahsoka, let's just wait 3 more years and put it in a big set 3. No, I don't think that happens. And also, do they not understand the community's desires? Well, that's possible, although I think they've shown somewhat recently that they do follow this stuff, so I don't think that's necessarily true. And I think maybe one of the examples you may have in your mind, I know you don't state it, but something I see kind of thrown around a lot here is, where's Captain Rex in the new Summer Wave? Where's Captain Rex? And to me, the outcry and whatnot for Captain Rex and the sudden increase in value in his character has only come about in the last 2 months. That's not enough time for LEGO to just make a figure and have it in a set, right? That was not going to happen in this Summer Wave already. They couldn't have made it happen after the figure shot up in value 2 months ago, right? Maybe we'll get a Captain Rex in 2021. I would hope so. That would make sense, but it's a little outlandish to think that they could see this market shift happening, you know, a year ahead of time and then be like, oh yeah, we should have put that in a set, right? Hawksburg says, I was watching your Millennium Falcon review from 2019 and I noticed that you said you would put the link in the description when it's available. Not a massive piece of criticism, but why would you say that if you know you are likely going to forget? By the way, this happens on a lot of comparisons and reviews, and it's not a one-time thing. Very well aware that it's not a one-time thing. This is one of my fundamental YouTuber flaws. I will often do this. 100% my fault. Totally valid piece of criticism. I shouldn't say it if I don't think I'm going to remember. I should at least write it down or make a note in my phone. I just forget. I should probably go back through some of those old videos and try to like clean up some of that, because I know it probably looks bad a year later when someone's like, oh, the comparison's still coming soon. That's a shame. You know, so people will come across those videos and like, well, it's incomplete, right? So I should go back and do that. Maybe one day I'll find the time and just spend a couple hours going through old videos and, you know, cross-referencing and linking things and doing all that fun stuff. Blake Oliver says, if you could only buy one LEGO theme for the rest of your life that's not Star Wars, what would it be? City. I think I would go full in on City. I would just build a city with LEGO City stuff and get, you know, parts to build custom city buildings. That or Harry Potter, but probably City, because City seems to be forever. El Pato has a fun fact for us. Says all minifigs in the new General Grievous Starfighter have been used in previous sets. No new designs whatsoever. Now this wouldn't be so weird, but they used the Mustafar Obi-Wan that has burns all over it. Doesn't fit with the Utapau version. I'm gonna save my critical words on that until we see official pictures, or I have the set in hand, because things could change. But if it's true that they end up using the Mustafar Obi-Wan in the General Grievous Starfighter set, which is supposed to be based off like an hour earlier in the movie from Utapau, that is going to be pretty upsetting, especially for a set they're charging $80 for. And that, to me, is going to be outrageous. So we're going to wait and see on that one. I really do want to go in on it now, but I have to wait and see the official images of the official figure that's going to be in the set, right? Because we right now only have the catalog, retailer catalog, and they could have used a placeholder in a retailer catalog. That to me is not a final thing. Imperial Lego says, when you move into your new house, do you think you will have shelves in your bedroom now with Lego on them, or will you have all your Lego in a separate room? Here's my plan for the next 6 months. Obviously not buying Lego for the next 2 months, and I think there's only like 2 Lego sets that I'm gonna buy other than the summer 2020s. Disregard all new stuff. If it's new, I'm gonna buy it, right? That just makes sense. It's my job. But as far as older sets go, the only 2 older sets I feel like I'm actually gonna buy in the next 6 months is going to be a motorized AT-AT. I need a new one of that because my old one is just trashy. I don't know what happened. It doesn't work correctly, and I want to get a brand new one. I also may buy the 6211 Imperial Star Destroyer because I want to do a comparison video of the two, and my old one, much like the AT-AT, I've had it for over a decade. Trashy. Need a new one. So I'm saving money to buy a house at this point. That's kind of where I'm at. My mom won't let me rent, which is kind of a funny thing to do because, like, ultimately, if I wanted to go rent a house right now, I could. My mom won't let me, though. It is kind of a waste of money, right? Because if I go rent a house for 2 years and spend $40,000 renting a house, I don't get that $40,000 back, or whatever it is, $30,000. Rent times 24. Versus if I go buy a house, have that money, or the house is that money, right? And then I could sell that house and buy another house or whatever. The money is still there in a form versus rent where the money just kind of disappears. So I'm saving to hopefully buy a house at the end of the year or early next year, and I'm actually really excited at that prospect. I'm just saving hard at this point because I do want to move out and kind of be on my own. I have my own car now that's mine in my name, fully paid off. So to your question of what my house is going to look like, I'm looking for 4 bedrooms and I'm going wild, okay? The smallest room will be my bedroom. And you say, well, I have Lego in there. I might have a little, right? I can't imagine I would have none in there. I might have a small shelf or something, or case, I should say, because when I move, going all glass display cases. I may keep those shelves because I really like them, but they'll be for like boxes. I'll keep like sealed boxes on them for display in some area. So one room will be my bedroom, and the bedroom will have my bed. It'll have probably this very desk with my video games on it. That'll kind of be it. Another room would be my like video making room. So it'd be like this room, but like remove the bed, and it would probably be the master bedroom, like a much bigger room. So remove my bed and more shelves and things. And so you'd have a table for reviews, my setup for AskR. I'd probably have a live streaming setup in the same room, like just so I can sit down and live stream whenever I want, versus now where I got to move a bunch of things and set a bunch of different things up. Third room would be a display room. So it'd be a room where I just kind of have a ton of display stuff, like maybe my whole display of Lego Star Wars sets from 1999 to 2020 or whatever, just all in glass cases, everything ordered by year. Something like that is kind of what I have in mind. Some sort of display room. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but that's my idea for the third room. And then I could also do some filming in there. I'm sure I would. I'd have some set up for maybe MandR episodes. I could kind of alternate between rooms and do different things like that. And, the possibilities are endless to that end. And then the fourth room's where it gets fun. The mock room. Make mocks, right? If I have space to make mocks, I can actually make mocks. I feel like if I have the space and I can actually do it properly, I would actually do it. That's kind of what the 4 rooms look like. And then I'm sure like the dining room area or something of my house would also be devoted to videos in some way. And then also the other thing is like when I move out, like I would like anytime someone wants to visit, like any of my YouTube friends, come over. I don't care. I'm not doing anything. Come over for a week, a day, whatever. Like, let's make some videos. Let's have fun. Like, that's kind of what I have in mind for what it would be. Probably gonna stay in Melbourne. I like where I live now. Only an hour and 10 minutes away from the Lego store at Disney Springs, which isn't ideal. I wish I was closer, but it's kind of Melbourne or Orlando, and there's kind of nowhere in between. I also like the stores I live nearby, Target, Walmart, whatever. I like having my friends here, the gym, whatnot. Orlando is on the list of potential destinations for me, although Orlando is a cluster and it's tourists, and not Orlando, probably somewhere like 30 minutes from the Lego store or something, but much closer than I am now, which would be great. But I don't know, I'd be closer to Blaine, closer to Just Too Good, closer to Pro Lego Channel, closer to the Orlando airport. Not that the Melbourne airport is far, but the Orlando airport is where most people that I would know would probably fly into. So that would be more ideal as well, closer to Disney for if people wanted to come to Disney and visit me and hang out and do whatever, that's cool too. And then the third kind of like shadow contender is somewhere outside Atlanta near one of those 2 Lego stores. I like that Georgia area. We have a house in northern Georgia, which would be about 2 hours away from where I'm looking at there. The houses are a lot cheaper and very nice, in my opinion. Weather a little bit cooler than Florida, obviously. Moving 6-7 hours north couldn't hurt. Drawback being state income tax. That's going to cost me an extra 5% of the money I make. And to me, and I would hope you would feel the same, why would you give any of your money away that you don't have to? Ultimately, I think I'm going to end up where I am now, just at a house near here, or there's like a 10-20% chance that I end up somewhere outside of Orlando, and that seems fun to me too. I would just kind of miss here. Owen says, Just Too Good or Ash and Flash mentioned that you are viewed as a controversial figure in the LEGO Ambassador Network community. Why is that, or why do you think that is? Well, for a couple reasons. I mean, the main reason that comes about is for the Brickbuster videos I made, but the other underlying reason is that I think myself, more than a lot of other people, I'm willing to say what I think and what I feel on a video, on a live stream, like just tell it how it is. Like a lot of people will kind of keep their issues private like that, and I'm more than willing to just say the way I feel and not sugarcoat it. Stand up for what I think is right, etc., etc. And sometimes that doesn't work out the best, but I think being honest and truthful with myself is important, and so that's just kind of what I put out there. Tristan says, what happened to your LEGO Star Wars Summer 2020 set picks video? I've gotten this question a lot. Figured it'd be good to answer in here. And the answer is that on the LEGO Ambassador Network, they asked me to take it down, so I took it down. It's technically a leak, but it doesn't have a watermark, so I posted it. I'm not a fan of that rule. I think it's dumb, but I decided to take it down. I'll put it back up when the official pictures come out, and then I'll probably do another video with the official pictures too. Paul says, I watched your recent video on not buying Lego for 2 months and saw you buy a lot from eBay, but it's so hard to spot legit Lego over Lego compatible without having to dig into every description. Is there a better way to search/filter or a preferred group of sellers you could promote? Or am I doomed to endlessly dodging fakes? Love your comparison videos. Keep killing it. Well, thank you, Paul. So I'll kind of work backwards here. Is there a preferred group of sellers? No. On eBay, I don't have any favorite sellers. I don't look at it that way. I just kind of look at the listings. And on top of that, most of the deals you're gonna find, if you can find really good deals, aren't going to come from, these big established sellers. They're going to come from the random Joe Schmo who doesn't really know what they have. That's where you get the good deals. So the only way to search and filter that I would recommend is, assuming you live in the United States, because obviously I do, don't search for anything outside of the US. Just do US only, because most stuff in the US is legitimate. Not all of it, because some people do import it and then end up selling it later down the line or selling it immediately, like whatever the case may be. But more stuff in the US is legitimate than it is outside of it. Like that's where you're going to find most of the Chinese knockoff stuff that you definitely seem to want to stay away from. But ultimately you're going to want to look for the dead giveaways in the titles and such. Like if they have a picture of the physical product, you can usually tell right away from the picture if it's like the picture of the product they're actually going to ship you. If they have the picture with the white background, it's just the image. That can be a little bit trickier, but ultimately you kind of are stuck reading the title and the description. That's just kind of what you're going to have to do, unfortunately. Some of them are pretty obvious. Like I said, if it ships from China, probably going to be a fake thing, especially if it seems sketchy. Yeah, I mean, look for the keywords like Lego compatible, like just stay away from that. I wish I could help you more than that, but I think you are almost doomed to endlessly dodging fakes. A. Cruz says, if Lego doesn't work in patterns, then explain Luke's X-Wing. Ah, of course, Luke's X-Wing, which came out in 1999, and then 3 years later in 2002 as a re-release, and then 2 years later in 2004 as the Dagobah version, and then 2 years later in 2006 as the really good 2006 version, then 6 years later in 2012, and then 6 more years later in 2018. I don't see a pattern. I see 2, 3, 2, 6, 6. No pattern. Luke's X-Wing explained. This one with almost 300 upvotes from CJ Pana says, if there was another summer 2020 set coming out that we didn't know about, what would you choose? He says his is the Bad Batch shuttle. That would be mine too. I think that one makes a lot of sense. It just, with the Clone Wars being as topical as it is, it would have been really nice to get it in the summer wave, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening. Hopefully we can see it in January. I don't know. But yeah, Bad Batch shuttle will be on my list for that. Flip Brick says, are you still attending college? If so, what field of study? I was doing college. I really only did prerequisites when I was there, but I was going to go for marketing, and if YouTube ever fails, I will go and do that. But no, I haven't been going to college for probably 2 years now. Something like that, 1.5 years. I don't know, it's been a while. I don't even remember. So yeah, I kind of just stopped going, and no, I am not still attending. Although I will say I kind of like the vibes of the campus, to be honest. I wouldn't mind just going there to edit videos on my laptop. I don't know, I just kind of liked going there in a way, kind of reminisce on it now, which is weird because I hated it. Anyway, guys, that is it for AskR Productions episode 128. If you enjoyed, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And if you have a question, leave it in the comment section below, and it may be answered next week. Thank you for watching. See ya.